Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is CSU Infernal, or Gavin, and today we're going to be talking about the next roster in the LCS for the lock-in tournament, which is obviously Disguised. So this is the only jersey I own for a team, um, just because I think I have a little bit of a bias towards them, I will admit. I think it's a very good org. I'm wearing a hoodie under just because it is freezing where I live right now. It's starting to get really cold, and it is going to be getting colder in the next couple days. So you will. I have a couple of shirts for other teams I plan on wearing that I've bought throughout the years, but you will still probably see a hoodie underneath most of them. For heads up. Also, just for clarification, in this video, that is a cat behind me. If there's random cuts in the video or me talking outside, I will try to pause it when stuff happens or cut it out. However, she does not like to sit still, right? Right, Luna? Her name is Luna. She's very sweet. But she does not like to sit still. So if there's weird cuts in the middle of the video, I apologize because I'm trying to get her in a place where I can keep an eye on her. And that's all. So with that in mind, let us move on to what we're here for is to talk about this disguised roster. Now, they're going to do a huge rebuild with this roster. Castle is the only player remaining from this team, and Ito is still the coach, who I think is not a bad coach. I think Ito's pretty consistently proven he can coach in the LCS. It's just compared to some of these other ones, he has a lot to live up toward. So same as every other video, we're going to go from top to bottom, each player stat wise, where they've been, what they've done, and what my expectations for them are. So we are going to start with Castle. What I just want to talk about was we look at this initial win rate here, and like Castle, this win rate's not great, obviously. But I think we can excuse some of it by looking at the rosters he's been a part of. Obviously, he's been a part of KT Challenger for it was 3 years he stayed in KT Challenger. Where I believe KT Challenger was pretty consistently middle of the pack, not like super duper good. Yes, he did compete Kespa Cup very briefly. But yeah, they've always been kind of a middle of the pack at best. Which is like it's not bad. But he's never really had this huge showing as a top player there. But then he finally gets his chance to come over to North America on Immortals. And for those of us that know and were here during that time period, we know how this Immortals roster went. It was certainly a roster of all time. But then he gets drafted to Disguise, which in 2025 was very bad showings. They won a single game in the split one. I believe split two, they didn't win a series. They won a single series. Who was that against? Or was it games? It might have been games. They won a single game, it looks like, against oh, I think it was games in split two. I don't remember off the top of my head. They won a game or two, but that was it. And split three was when they actually like turned on last year with the they brought in Dark Wings, they brought in Rahel. And this was a good roster. I think if this roster had more time, they could prove themselves. The problem was XU, as we previously talked about, went to Dignitas. Dark Wings and Rahel and Huhi. Okay. All went to Sentinels. So with all that in mind, this is the rock player they should be building team around. Because even though this win rate isn't great, I think he's arguably one of the best top laners in this league. Especially in a league where your other options are stuff like Photon, uh, not Zamudo anymore, Dokla, like Impact who needs to reprove himself, like Morgan who needs to prove himself, like Fudge who's still like kind of in that is he good, is he not era. Castle is arguably a top three top laner in this league. Now with that in mind, you know what? His champion pool is very good. His Gnar is pretty consistent. Bragg is not champion pulls out often, but he can. It's 50-50 for a reason. He either carries a game or just kind of is non existent. Casante's a champion they keep putting him on, and he's very clearly not good on. I wish they'd stop. His Ornn is phenomenal. His Jax Zakali, when he gets to play these carries, is really, really good. If you put him in anything other than this like bruiser tank build, like Casante and Sion, with the exception of Ornn, he can win games. I just don't know if the rest of his champion or the rest of his team will provide for that. Let's move on to the second player on their team, which is Kryra. Now, there is problems with Kryra at the moment. I believe someone else is starting for him. Kisno, yes, Kisno is starting for Disguise because Kryra is having visa issues, and I think Kisno is also very good. He is a staple of LC of the like NACL. My mind blanked for a second on that. He's a staple player of the NACL. Just to very briefly talk on Gizno, he played on like a lot of teams. Played on Supernova. He's played on CCG. He last played Dark Zero Dragonsteel was a team like everyone kind of knew him on. That was a team he was performing very good on. They, if I remember right, finished pretty fine. Yeah, they finished third here. Um, they won. He won something. I don't remember exactly what off the top of my head. He's been like a middle of the pack in this region or in the NACL, but that doesn't make him bad. I think he's a very stable jungler. Same thing for Kryra. I think Kryra is a very slept on person that I had never heard of until they announced he was joining this team. He's a very young player. He's only 20 years old. He's younger than I am. And he's not played many teams. He's played for Blue Water, which this is the Blue Water roster that beat Kisno in the Split 2 playoffs in the NACL. He was another substitute on the Start Zero roster. And we look at his win rate, it's also very low. But I think this is excusable considering how little he's gotten to play and how new he is. Obviously, some champions, this Zen is very low win rate. But everything else is like not enough games played or like to be excusable, or is like this Wukong, which is really good. I would argue 4 games Zyra only 1-1 is fine, considering Zyra's not really in the meta. I think Vibe going 0-4 for his games is bad. But like this Sedge is good. Brand Nidalee aren't really in the meta right now, so that's fine. Nefiri can be in the meta, and like 50-50 for 2 games is okay. Pantheon, that's good. Zac, that's fine. I think he is a good player. I just want to see how he's going to perform in this tournament. And I'm very sad he won't be in the lock-in. But I want to see how he'll perform in the spring and in the summer. Call Me is another player I genuinely had never heard of until he got announced he was coming to the team. So a little bit of research I did beforehand. He played in EMEA in, I believe, this is a Turkish team. Yes. He was a Nongshim player, like going back and forth between, the like if you know this era of Nongshim, where they had like an 8-man roster constantly swapping people in and out, it was never stable. They've stabilized a lot more in the past year or so, but like same thing as most, just kind of middle of the pack. mid laner that in the LCK, middle of the pack isn't good enough. When you're competing against the likes of obviously Faker, Showmaker, Scout coming back, Zeka, um, like you're competing against these like huge name mid laners. Middle of the pack is not quite good enough for a Korean team, but it is good enough coming over to North America. And he's has an okay win rate for this many games played. You know, pretty like stock standard. You look at his champ pool, top three are like the Korean mid laners. You know, Azir to Leah Rise. Tristana, he played during that Tristana Jace meta. Oriana, pretty good. Ari, pretty good. Victor, not bad. Aurora, not bad. He like his champion pool's okay. I'm just worried that this is going to be another example of we import a middle of the pack Korean mid laner, and he just doesn't. He's asleep. He just doesn't perform to the level we think he should because oh he's Korean, he should be outclassing everybody. Because I think there's a very negative headspace to keep these players in. You should be you should be thinking of them not as like immediately better than North American talent, but as we imported him for a reason. What does he provide to this team? And that's kind of another area I'm afraid of. I don't know if this man provides anything that any other mid laner wouldn't. This is the one I'm most excited for. I think Sajed. Is this Sajed? I only have the how to pronounce his names at the bottom. I think it's Sajed. Um, I think he's a very, very interesting player, and I'm very glad he's getting his chance. I'm kind of on a time crunch, so I'm flying through these players compared to other videos. I have we have team practice in 45 minutes, so I'm just flying through this. But he, played for a collegiate team, moves on to this like just kind of back and forth between teams, plays on FlyQuest challengers. He wins an ACL title here, goes to Maryville. I don't know if they won a title with this roster, but he does. Like Maryville's the team you go to if you're trying to go back to college. Dragon Steel, Dark Zero. I always forget this Milk roster is a thing even. Like just kind of this third place team in NICL. Oh, I'm sorry, sixth place. Oh, it's Blue Water. My bad. Um, but he's a very good player. Pentakills galore. 23, 2 in 2024 with this FlyQuest team. He got one last year against Blue Water. Most valued prospect in 2025. 3 times second team All Pro. Like he is such a good up and coming player, and him finally getting a chance is so. His win rate is very good, especially for a team he's playing. CS per minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'd have to go back and watch the other two videos, but I think this is the highest CS per minute we've seen of a single player across like all three teams we've looked at so far. It's astounding like the leads this man just manages to find in games. And even his champion pool, like Varus Kaisa Zaya, really, really good. Jinx's 50% win rate, but as we saw before, 2 pentakills on this champion. I think that's 50% because of the team, not him performing poorly. 100% win rate in Misfortune. 100% on Senna across 3 games. I think this across 7 games. I didn't even notice that the first time I looked at this scoreboard. That's impressive. This man is a very, very good player. And I'm very excited he's finally getting a chance. Now, how does his support line up with that? Well, we look at his support, and that's Lions. And I go back and forth on Lions. I think he's okay on average. I don't think he's like the best LATAM support ever. I'd have to look at all the LATAM supports to make an opinion on that. Like this movie star roster, he performed fine on. This was when they beat 100 Thieves at Worlds in 2024. Leviathan, I believe he even performed fine on Leviathan. I'd have to look. Yeah, that was middle of the pack. This yeah, they lost the pain, but he performed like fine in this roster and they won the LLA. When he was on Leviathan, third place opening, won playoffs, went to MSI. Oh, this is when he moved to Rainbow Seven. Like yeah, like oh, this is when Leviathan was a minor region or like a tier two team, and he performed very well. And he moves up to Rainbow Seven. Wins playoffs, goes to MSI in 2023. They lose to G2 or GG, rest in peace, Golden Guardians. But whatever. They win. They go to Worlds 23, lose to Gam. They win here. They lose going to MSI last year. Yes, because they lost to Astral. Because that was when they had was a Dodo on Astral. But then they go to Worlds, barely miss out on quarterfinals. Or not quarterfinals, Swiss stage. And then this really bad showing in the LTA North. So I don't think he's terrible, but he has a lot of expectations to live up to. Now we look at his win rate is good. Once again, keep in mind he's coming from the LLA, and last year they went a really bad win rate. But he's pretty consistent in like score lines. Um, Head and CS doesn't matter as support, but like goal differential over an enemy support's fine. First blood participation's pretty good, honestly. Vision score per minute, that's really good for a support. I think for a pro player support, vision score per minute, you should be aiming at minimum, absolute bare minimum, 2.5. Expectation is 3 per minute. So 3.07, like meeting the expectation. Um, and champion pool's like not bad. He's this heavy engaged player. This is what he likes to play for, and you can tell with his win rate. But even then, like his Renata's not bad. His Leona's good. His Milio's really good. His TK when it's in the meta is not bad. Ash support's not really in the meta, but like I think it's something you always have to worry about. So I think he can be good. I think the biggest thing with this roster is across the board, like top three, top laner, a lot of expectations. Will he live up to it? Will he just be the stable mid they need? A lot of expectations. Will he live up to it? And then I would say, if not top four support, in that like fifth, sixth place spot. I don't think Lions is bad. And I think there's other supports on this list that we'll get to that are significantly worse than Lions. So with all that in mind, where do I personally predict? I don't know if I did this with Dignitas. Where do I predict Disguise to be ending though? I think with these three, like just kind of adding to each team before, Cloud9 is currently like first, Dignitas below them. I think Disguised should be better than Dignitas, even with Kisno coming in, assuming they have Calm. If they have Call Me on their starting roster, like when the lock-in starts in 3 days, yes, because it's Wednesday when I'm recording this, and it'll be posted on Wednesday as well. If they have Call Me and even with Kisno, I think this 5-man roster will be better than Dignitas. Will he be better than the rest of these teams? We will find out when we get there. But I think it's very obviously I have more expectations for this team. I I have higher. This team is like across the board. They should bare minimum be better, but I don't trust a lot of these players to be better. Meanwhile, I have a lot more faith. Like I have more faith in Castle to outclass Photon. I have more faith in Kryra slash Kisno to outclass XU. I have more faith in Sajed Lions at the moment than FBI Ignar. Now, is that because I think FBI Ignar are bad? No, I just think they need time to build up. But Dignitas doesn't even have FBI Ignar. I just found out last night they are starting with Mobility and Breeze because FBI and Ignar are having visa issues. So with that in mind, I think Disguised will be better than Dignitas. And I think knowing Disguised is playing Dignitas. Oh no, this guy's playing Sentinels. Who's playing Dignitas? Lion's playing Dignitas, that's right. I think if these two teams met, I would have substantially more faith in Disguise than Dig. With all that in mind, thank you very much for watching. That's where I'm going to end this. Once again, with every other video, what is your opinions? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me that this team can? I think this team can be top four. I expect fifth, sixth though. Do you agree with me though? What are your opinions on some of these players, on these roster changes? Um, how do you think this team's going to end? I would love to hear your expectations below and comments, obviously. If you want to follow along, please subscribe, please like the video. I will be posting this throughout the week. I have, how many more teams? I have 5 more teams to get through in the span of 3 days. So when I get home tonight, there will definitely be another one recorded. Next being FlyQuest, of course. But I digress. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you all in the next video talking about FlyQuest. And goodbye.